Hello everybody, welcome back to the Spoked Wheel YouTube channel. We're back today with episode 25 of the Andy Schleck Pro Cyclist Mode series. And today we have three pretty big races on the calendar, with the Mont Ventoux Challenge, this mountain stage of the Tour of Slovenia, and then the Road National Championships of Luxembourg. So let's get straight into the action. We are into our first race of the video, which is the Mont Ventoux Challenge. Now, this is a race that we've done before. We rode it last season, and I believe we finished in second place, so it's a race that we have the ability to do very well at. This time around, we're up against some tough competition, because both Nairo Quintana and Giulio Ciccone are at this race. I believe we were the third favorite for this event after those two riders, so I think getting on the podium here would be a pretty good goal. I would love to win the race, obviously, and it just might be possible with this +3 race day condition. We get the important boost to both our stamina and resistance, which should help a lot. +2 to our mountain rating, so we're up to 85. We needed a good day to try and win this race, and we got it. So I think our safe goal is to try and get on the podium, but obviously I would love to win the race. So we've now reached Mont Ventoux, the mountain that this race is named for. It's a really hard climb, as you can see from the profile, but we have a strong team around us for FFL on this day, this race. We have both Joni Brandao and Louis Meintjes to support us, so we're going to try and use them as much as possible. Brandao is supposed to be protecting Andy Schleck right now. He's struggling a little bit to do that, which is too bad, but we do have Louis Meintjes on our wheel, the South African, so he'll be our right-hand man on the day. But our strategy for the first part of the climb is just going to be to try and ride steadily and not really respond to any surges, because I think if riders attack early on, it will be too far out to sustain the move all the way to the line. So we have some time to be patient and try and save our energy, and then once we get up towards the top, we'll think about how to try and win this race. With 7 kilometers to go, I think we're managing our energy very well. We're in a group of 16 riders here. Got a lot of riders from De Koonik and Mitchelton Scott left in the race. Unfortunately, we're completely out of water. Our water bottle is blinking. I tried to have Louis Meintjes grab us a bottle before we ran out of energy, but it didn't work, unfortunately. So hopefully, despite that, we'll be able to fight for a podium spot or even the win. Now with about 4.5 kilometers to go, it's time to make our move. We're back onto the steep gradients, so we're going to attack the group of favorites there. And we get the blinking red bar straight away, so we can attack for a long time, which is great. We're already opening a gap of over 20 seconds. Let's put it back on effort cursor. We'll stick it up on 75 here with 3 kilometers to go. And we'll see if anyone behind decides that they want to chase. We do still have a gap of 30 seconds. I think we can even increase our effort up to 85 as we head towards the final 2 kilometers. It looks like Ciccone for Trek Segafredo is the rider chasing. Quintana is also there, but our gap is staying pretty steady around 30 seconds, so I think we have a really decent shot at hanging on for the win here into the final kilometer. We still have plenty of energy. Both yellow and red bars are good. One rider is breaking away from the group there. It looks like Giulio Ciccone, but we have nearly a minute into the last 400 meters. Let's sprint for it, but it's not even going to be close in the end. Andy Schleck is going to take the win at the Mont Ventoux Challenge. That is a big win considering the opposition we were up against in this race, and it's very good to be able to improve on our position last year. Giulio Ciccone 2nd, Quintana 3rd, and Ivan Sosa 4th on the day, but Andy Schleck takes the win. Alright, we're into our second race of the video now, which is the Mountainous Stage 3 of the Tour of Slovenia. We're decked out in the Mountains jersey, which we took yesterday in Stage 2. And I believe we're the favorites to win the stage today. We lost some time on GC in the opening time trial, and we're probably going to lose a little bit more in the closing time trial, so we do need to try and gain some time on our GC rivals today for sure. It's a pretty long climb, sort of a two-stepped climb there with a flat section, maybe 3/4 of the way up. So I think we're going to have to attack before that and try and get as much of a gap as we can. We can definitely look to use Louis Meintjes today. He was actually, I believe, the third favorite on the stage, so he's going to be a very strong teammate for us today. Fabio Aru was a name that was mentioned in the magazine. Also Joe Dombrowski, one of my personal favorite riders, but not really any top World Tour climbers, so I think we should probably win the stage today unless a breakaway gets a huge gap and can't be brought back. Alright, we're on to the final climb now. We're going to try and use our teammate Joni Brandao here as much as possible on this early section of the climb to bring us up to the front and maybe help us set pace at the front. Although Rally right now are doing a lot of work on the front as well. Unfortunately, Louis Meintjes crashed early on in the stage, so we can't use him on this final climb, but he was on a -4 race day condition anyways, so he might not have been the strongest. Definitely wasn't at his best. But we're going to try and use Brandao to soften things up, and then we'll attack up a little ways closer towards that flat section to see if we can drop some of the other favorites. Brandao is just about out of energy, and there's a move coming from this Androni rider that we're going to respond to here with Andy Schleck. It was slightly earlier than I would have wanted to go, but that's okay. It was more or less where I wanted to make my move, so we're going to use it. We're going to relay and ride steadily. Just the attack itself by Zacanti there opened up almost a 50-second gap, so if we can ride steadily here on 75, we're going to drop him pretty quickly, and hopefully no one else can get back across the gap. We don't want to go too hard just yet before that flat section because it does kick back up again towards the line, but we want to make sure that we stay out in front, and hopefully we will take this stage win. We made it across the flat section of this climb and things are kicking back up towards the line. Let's use our energy gel with 2.5 kilometers to go, and we're going to kick up our effort as well up to 85. Our gap right now is nearing a minute to the second group on the road, so if we can continue to expand that, we will go into the lead on the GC, and hopefully we'll be able to grab enough time so that we won't lose that lead in the final time trial. Let's sprint for the last 500 meters or so to try and get as much time as possible, but we'll cross the line with another win for Andy Schleck, 2 out of 2 in this video, and hopefully it's enough to win the general classification as well here at the Tour of Slovenia. Alright, we're into our third and final race of the video, the Road National Championships of Luxembourg. We finished second at this race a season ago, although the problem is because we're no longer riding for Leopard, we don't have any teammates in this race, so I think we'll probably have to ride a bit more conservatively and keep an eye on riders like Kirsch, Youngles, Genietz, and try and follow them when they inevitably make their moves to try and win this race. We're on a +5 day, so it's as good as you can get, and immediately we crash to start the race, which is not as good as you can get. Hopefully we can get up from this one. Looks like we are going to get back on our bike, but we're going to have to start our day by doing some chasing, which is definitely not ideal. But hopefully we'll be able to come back from this and try and fight for the win, because it would be really cool to be able to end the season wearing the national champions jersey. So with just about 111 kilometers to go, we luckily have made it back to the peloton, and we did so without burning too much energy, I think. So luckily it looks like crisis averted, and we will still be able to try and fight for the jersey in this year's national championships. With just about 80 kilometers to go, we found ourselves in a pretty interesting position. We're in a group of 3 right now with Ben Gastur and Kevin Genietz. If you remember a season ago, we lost to Kevin Genietz in a one-on-one breakaway battle, so it's sort of like a repeat of last season with us in an escape together with him, but this time there's a a third X Factor in Ben Gaster. So, and the gap is only 24-25 seconds as well at this point, so things could come back together, but this rider who's chasing to get across has a minute and a half on everyone else in the race, so it's starting to look like this group of 3 or 4 could be the one that contends for the win at the end of this. With 42 kilometers left in the race, we've been joined by a 4th rider, which is none other than Bobby Jungels. So a group of 4 very strong riders right now with over a minute ahead of the 15 other riders in the race. So if we can all cooperate and work together, I think this could be a move that would stay away. But there are still 2 Trek guys back in the peloton, so there's some chasing firepower there as well. So it's not impossible for things to come back together still. With 25 kilometers to go and a gap still over a minute and a half, I feel pretty confident in saying that the winner of this race is going to come from this group of 4. We have one final uphill section in a few kilometers, and we're going to try and attack there to drop any weaker riders and see if we can get a gap, because as we learned last year, it's not a very good idea to bank on the sprint with Andy Schleck against these guys. I would guess probably all 3 of these guys have a better sprint than Andy Schleck, so the +3 on the day does help, but we're going to need to try and drop our companions if we really want to win this race. We're heading on to the final uphill section of this national championship race now, so let's attack and go for it. Looks like Ben Gaster is trying to close us down immediately. A little bit more of a gap to Jungels and the other rider who is with us, Jen Yates, but we do get a 20-second gap on even Gaster over the top. So let's bump our effort up a little bit to 70 and put it on effort cursor and see if we can keep riding and keep this breakaway going. Let's go up to 75, given that we're in the last 15 kilometers, but Bobby Jungels does bring it back together. Ben Gaster as well makes the split. So Kevin Jen Yates also comes across. So at this point, with 12 kilometers to go, we need to stop working and see if we can try and attack again when the pace goes out of the group and get the jump on these guys before we take it to the sprint. After a moment of recovering, we're going to need to attack again here because Bob Jungels has kicked things off. He got a gap straight away. We're going to see if we can keep it going, but I think they're going to be able to stay with us here. Jungels and Gaster can stay with us easily. Jen Yates is the rider who seems to fall off the pace a little bit each time we attack. The gap is around 2 minutes right now, so let's try the same thing. We'll sit on and see if we have another chance to attack before the finish here. And we basically are at the finish inside the last 4 kilometers, so let's attack once more into this downhill, see if we can get away. It's going to be tough, though. These guys are right on our heels, and we're not really getting a gap at all. So let's lead things out into the final kilometer. That banner is actually wrong because we still have a little bit over a kilometer to go, but good distance to sprint from. It's going to be Jen Yates again who wins, Bob Jungels second, and we're going to have to settle for 3rd place this time around after finishing 2nd the season previous. So 2 straight podium finishes for Andy Schleck at the national championships, but we've been unable to crack the code in terms of going to the line by ourselves, which I think is going to be what we need to do in order to win this jersey, because it's tough for us in the sprint against the likes of Jungels and Jen Yates, but we'll definitely keep trying in the future. That is going to be it for the racing in this video. Before the video ends, we're just going to take a look at some of the results that we've picked up on the season so far. So we ended up wrapping up the GC at the Tour of Turkey and winning that race. We got a top 15 at this one-day race in France. We participated in our first monument ever at Liège-Bastogne-Liège and finished 26th, which isn't too bad, I think, for the first monument. Our hill rating is still only 76, so we have a ways to go before really being able to contend for a win in that sort of race. But then we get into the races that we did in this video. Picked up 2 wins on Mont Ventoux and the overall at the Tour of Slovenia. Got 10th at the ITT Nats, and then finished 3rd on the road as well. So I'll be back again soon with the next installment of the Andy Schleck series. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.